Total Drama had everything: relationships, drama, humor, and most importantly, it had style. Yet every season is different, and this raises the question, which one is the best, the worst, and how do the others rank between them? To find the answer, I needed to come up with 4 big criteria by which I'm going to compare them. The criteria are theme, character development, finale, and replay value. For each criterion, every season will get a score from 1 to 5. The season with the most points will win the title of the best total drama season ever made. So let's begin with Season 1. TDI 2007's theme was pretty simple: a summer camp on an isolated island away from the rest of society. So as a result, the storyline focused on how the contestants had to figure things out on their own, without any adults around. The original Total Drama Island is the perfect example that you don't have to get things too extreme to make a great decision. So for that, it gets a 5. The fact that this theme kept things pretty simple went perfectly with the character development. Since the creators basically started from zero, we only knew the stereotypes of the contestants when the season started, so it was pretty hard to mess things up. I think that in this season, the teen drama had a greater impact than the challenges. The characters themselves felt more like normal teenagers who were just interacting with each other, rather than contestants who just wanted the money. Basically, the small moments that this season has made it a masterpiece. So for character development, I'll give it a 5. Moving on to the finale, here the creators kinda messed things up. I mean, it was a decent finale, but nothing more. And this is exactly the problem. I mean, every one of us probably expected it to be a great showdown between Owen and Gwen, but instead, we only got a boring-ass race. But to be honest, the finale was pretty doomed from the beginning, since it's hard to create a harsh competition between two friends, so it gets a 2. Although the rhythm was pretty slow-paced, this is the first total drama season ever made, and nostalgia will always play a big role in this, so for replay value, I'll give it a 4. Now, after the big success of the first season, the creators knew they had to come up with something big in order to keep up the hype. And that's how the theme for Action was created. Unfortunately, things didn't happen as planned, since Season 2 wasn't received as well as the first season. At first, making a movie-themed season sounds like an amazing idea, but only after a few episodes, you can see some problems popping up. Cause when you base almost every challenge on a Hollywood movie, all the episodes seem to become a little repetitive. Basically, the season felt like it lacked a sense of evolution and continuity. So the theme of Season 2 will get a 3. When it comes to character development, Total Drama Action was a pretty big disaster. First, in this season, the creators really did Trent dirty with his obsession for Gwen. Justin wasn't exactly a good villain. Courtney went from her bossy yet well-mannered personality from Season 1 to someone who is willing to manipulate and even cheat by using her lawyers. But for sure, we can't forget about Lindsay. They built up her character for most of the season and even got us thinking that she was the main hero, only to eliminate her in the most horrible way possible. So for character development, Action gets a 2. It's pretty crazy that Total Drama Action's finale was actually an aftermath. Don't get me wrong, the episode was great, but it didn't feel like the epic finale all of us expected, especially because in the end, it all resumed to one vote. It made all the things that happened before seem in vain. So for the finale, I'll give it a 3. Since most of its episodes seem like gimmick episodes, they can be pretty fun to watch from time to time. In some cases, you can randomly pick one episode and watch it separately the same way you can pick a Rick and Morty episode. So for replay value, Action gets a 4. Now, moving on to World Tour. Here, I can say that the creators did learn their lesson regarding the theme, because the themes of the challenges were constantly changed according to the different locations. Every episode seemed unique. Besides that, we cannot forget about the secondary theme of the season, as World Tour's original name was Total Drama Musical.
See you next time on Total Drama!
The songs are one of the best aspects of Season 3. Everyone loved them, and I'm honestly surprised that they didn't try to bring them back in another season. So, for the theme, Total Drama World Tour gets a 5. As most of you probably already know, This was the season in which Heather had the best evolution. What I particularly like about this evolution is that the creators didn't just try to give her a regular redemption arc and turn her into a hero. In this case, Heather was the necessary evil needed to defeat Alejandro. Talking about Alejandro, he was arguably one of the best total drama villains. Besides the fact that he was a great manipulator, he also showed his human side from time to time, even falling in love with Heather. Besides this, there were also other small storylines that made the season great, like the love triangle between Gwen, Duncan, and Courtney, Sierra and Cody's interactions, and Ezekiel's transformation. So, for character development, World Tour gets a 5. The finale was probably the best finale the first cast ever had. The challenges were great, the rivalry was strong, and yet, it didn't really bring us any satisfaction, as none of the finalists actually won. So, Season 3 gets a 4. As for the replay value, the challenges were fun, Alejandro's schemes remain interesting to watch, and I honestly could watch Heather's evolution over and over again, since this season is the first time in her life that she had to face someone even more cunning than her. So for replay value, Season 3 gets a 5. Revenge of the Island came with a big theme change, in probably one of the worst times ever, due to the nuclear disaster from Japan. Although it was an interesting season, it also pushed the series way too much to the extreme. Challenges like Phobia Factor are a piece of cake compared to this season's challenges. The best explanation is that this theme made us less invested in the action since things started to become ridiculously dangerous. Plus, at some point, things were becoming even a little disturbing. So for the theme, Revenge of the Island gets a 2. Now let's talk about character development. Although the season felt a little rushed, the evolution was good, and the interaction felt natural. First, we have to talk about Chris. Unfortunately, at this point, he became way too evil, even for total drama. A lot of fans even complained that the season was becoming a little disturbing because of him. But even if our favorite host suffered a big character derailment, the cast's evolution was pretty solid. We had the jock rivalry between Joe and Brick, and between Joe and Lightning. We saw Mike helping Cameron with his social problems, Cameron helping Mike with his personality, and even growing into a pretty strong contestant. Even the love story between Mike and Zoe was pretty good this season, especially compared to what happened in All Stars. I personally think that Scott had a lot more potential. I mean, yeah, his strategy was unique, and he seemed like a threatening villain, but think about his best moments, like that episode in which he blackmailed Mike for an entire challenge. But regardless of that, for the character development, Revenge of the Island gets a 4. This season's finale is probably the most iconic one out there. The theme of Brian versus Braun was an interesting idea and made the rivalry between Cameron and Lightning even better. Yet on the other hand, it wasn't as interesting and emotionally charged as other finales, so I'll give it a 3. Most of this season's challenges are great, and the fact that it only has 13 episodes makes Revenge of the Island perfect for a quick total drama marathon. That being said, it gets a 4. Let's get to our little disappointment right here, All Stars. Well, although the season was a mess, we have to admit that the theme was pretty wild. Bringing together contestants from both generations made All Stars one of the most anticipated seasons. So if we separate the theme from the rest of the season, I guess that it is worth a 5. But I'm afraid the theme was the only great thing about this season. When it comes to character development, things look really bad. The creators basically made every contestant suffer from character derailment. Although I can get over some, others are just stupid mistakes. Like, how could Mal be stronger than Alejandro? Why did they need to over-exaggerate Duncan's transformation into a nicer person? How couldn't Cameron figure out that something is wrong with Mike, even if he is one of the smartest TD contestants? I really don't know how to put this nicely, because the creators basically destroyed years of character development in only 13 episodes, and for that, I'll give it a 1. The final challenge was pretty good, yet the finale had a lot of flaws. I mean, most of the contestants just disappeared and were thought to be dead for a long time. The island sank, and Mike solved his dissociative identity disorder by just pressing a button. Best I can do is a 2. As for the replay value, who am I fooling here? There's no replay value in this shit. You're just gonna torture yourself by watching your favorite characters going downhill. So for this criteria, I'll give All Stars only 1 point. The robotic sci-fi theme from Pahkitew Island seemed promising, but it was revealed too late in the season, and the plot twist seemed out of place. So, for the theme, it gets a 2. Regarding this season's character development, here is a problem. This cast didn't really have too much personality to begin with. It's safe to say that of all the new contestants, Sean and Jasmine had the best evolution. Although Chris was more chill than in Revenge of the Island, he was far from the charismatic dude we left in the first 3 seasons. Dave was a mess, Max and Scarlett were horrible villains, and Sky's evolution was pretty boring. So, for character development, Pahkitew Island gets a 2. The finale was actually pretty interesting, especially the drama element between the finalist and their love interest. And for that, I'll give it a 3. There's not really much replay value in this season, mainly because of the cast. I mean, if you ever want to rewatch the whole series, fine, you can do it. But let's be honest, even in that scenario, you will be a little tempted to skip Pahkitew Island. The season is pretty irrelevant, so it gets a 1. Although it is not officially a total drama season, I'm going to include Ridonculous Race too. The whole structure of this season was based on another reality show format called Global Race. I personally liked this fresh change a lot, and from what I know, when the season came out, it received a lot of positive reviews. So for the theme, Ridonculous Race gets a 5. Moving to character development. The show created a unique dynamic between the contestants. Even if, at first, the teams don't really interact between one another, that offers the season room to make even small characters matter. Like the stepbrothers or the vegans. Later in the season, we get to see more interaction between teams, which brought us a lot of interesting moments, like the ones in which Owen and Kitty were playing matchmaker. Also, the rivalry between the ice dancers and the cadets was great. But probably, one of the most interesting aspects is that this was the first season in a while when we got to see Jeff without Bridget. They're a great couple, but their dynamic was becoming a little annoying and repetitive. So, for character development, Ridonculous Race gets a 4. Although the finale was pretty good, because of the format of the show, it didn't really stand out among other episodes of the spin-off. For that, I will give it a 2. Moving to the replay value, the spin-off is overall one of the most fun total drama seasons out there. Although pretty long, you can easily watch it in a 2-day marathon. It is a great refresh when you just want to take a short break from the original format. Plus, all the locations and multiple challenges make it fun every time you watch it. For that, the Ridonculous Race gets a 4. Now here comes the Total Drama Island reboot. As it says in its name, it's a reboot, so the theme is the exact one from TDI 2007. Because of that, regarding the theme, I'll give TDI 2023 a 3. In terms of character development, the first season of the reboot did a pretty good job. We get to see Millie and Priya's friendship evolving over the season. Millie letting go of her superiority complex because of Priya, Damien overcoming his fears, Julia revealing her true self, and many other things. This season also had one of the most interesting villains. As compared to other total drama villains, Bowie seemed more balanced and realistic, revealing more of his human side, either in his friendship with Emma or in his moments with Raj. So for character development, the first season of the reboot gets a 4. Although from the perspective of the challenges, the finale wasn't as interesting as expected, the emotional charge between Millie and Priya and the conclusion this finale brought to Priya's original storyline made it great, and for that, I'll give it a 4. I think that in TDI 2023's case, once you know most of the plot twists like Julia's true personality, the story loses a big part of its value. But overall, the season is still interesting to watch. So I'll give it a 3 for replay value. Total Drama Island 2024 was already the 3rd season with the same theme, so I'll only give it 1 point for that. In this season, some of the characters either suffered a character derailment or went back to their default settings from 2023, like in Damien's case. Millie became even more annoying than last season, Caleb's love story with Priya took too much screen time, and don't even get me started with Axel and Ripper. Although the friendship between MK and Julia was well received by the fans, we can also consider it a character derailment, since they became friends out of nowhere. So, for character development, this season gets a 2. Fortunately, the finale was pretty awesome. The challenges were great, and the creators finally decided to involve the other contestants in order to help the finalists. There was also a big rivalry between Caleb and Julia, which helped in keeping the tension high. I know many fans complained about the fact that Wayne became the new Total Drama winner, but it didn't bother me that much personally. For the finale, TDI 2024 gets a 4. Because of all the romance this season had, the focus is taken away from the action itself. Yet, MK and Julia's moments are priceless every time you see them. For replay value, I give this season a 3. So the time has come. In the 9th place, with only 7 points, is Pahkitew Island. In 8th place is All Stars with 9 points. At only 1 point distance, in 7th place comes TDI 2024. In 6th place is Action with 12 points. Next up is Revenge of the Island with 13 points. In 4th place, we have TDI 2023 with 14 points. And here comes the big 3. In 3rd place, with 15 points, is Ridonculous Race. And the ultimate winner, the best total drama season ever made, is World Tour, which has a score of 19 points out of 20. Of course, in 2nd place is TDI 2007 with 16 points. There it is, guys. What is your favorite season? Make sure to tell me in the comments. Take care, and see you next time with a brand new video.